All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Comic Book Radio. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm your host, Peter Cimetti. This is episode 109, and my guest tonight is Zachary MAROIS. We're going to be talking about his strange voyage as an indie comics creator. Let's see what he's been going through. And he's also got a comic out called Voyage, which is on Indiegogo. The links are in the description of the show. Grape Nuka-Cola, what's up? Thank you for being here tonight. Says, hey everyone, Pete, any chance there's a Wolf and Batsy short box in the works? I'm getting close to the end of my current one, and I know Brian has a campaign coming up. No, there's no plans for a Wolf and Batsy short box. So we do have a Unit 44 one that's going to be available soon to the public, but that's after the fulfillment process of the campaign. That's going to be in a couple of weeks. And then there's a King Cryptid and a Blood Realm short box. So hopefully those are good options for you. Real JBC, what's up? Thank you for being here tonight. The Beam Pad is here too. What's up, Beam Pad? Hope you're doing well. Bobo Ayami is in the house. What's up, Bobo? Shrek PMC says, hello, Pete. Hello, Chad. I'm watching Frankenstein. Must be destroyed. Maybe I'll pop back. Well, take your time. Feel free. Ronan's Review. What's up, Ronan's Review? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. Vaughn Coleman in the house as well. So support my boy Zach. I'm editing his book, and it's going to come out great. There you go. Morb, what's up, Morb? Thank you for being here tonight. Hope you're doing well. We got AL in the chat as well. What's up, AL? And all right, looks like that's everybody. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Let's see here. Before we get started, I just want to remind you guys we're on day 4 of the Alterna Winter Apparel and Merch campaign. Go to alternacomics.com/winter. This is a sweatshirt, hoodie, you know, that kind of thing from years ago. The ones we've got on the campaign currently are fantastic. You guys are going to love them. We got big blankets too. 60 by 80 blankets, a new mug, and a new beanie. A lot of good stuff. Check it out. All right, so before we do that, oh, look at that. Alex, what's up, Alex? Hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here tonight. Golden Tree TV as well. Okay, let's bring on the man of the hour. That would be one Mr. Zachary MAROIS. What's up, Zach?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm chilling, man. I'm actually working on a cover for somebody's campaign. So, just winding down. Had a long day at work.
What campaign you working on?
So the campaign I'm working on right now, I'm doing a cover for my boy Ethan Farina, who's the inker for my comic Voyage. I'll show you what it looks like so far.
Right, let me full screen you here.
Yeah, it's kind of like this weird looking Mr. Dark from Rayman video game kind of villain. You know, in space, like shattering Earth with like these time bands. So I'm still chiseling away at it, and that's what I got so far.
Very nice. Are you doing the art on your book too?
Yeah, all the art in the book is me.
Very nice, man.
So I have my inker. He's only inking the first story only because I didn't have time to ink that. But the bonus story that's in it, I penciled and inked it. So I like to do all the art, even the pinups, the cover, everything that has to do with the book and the interiors and out. I like to design all that stuff myself.
How'd you get into the aspect of creating comics?
I guess well, I broke into comics in 5th grade, like when I picked up my first book, and I was like, that's what I want to do as a career. I don't know how, but you know, that's exactly what I want to do. And how I broke into comics, I started taking it very seriously when I was 18 years old. And I was just really trying to crank out, like, I acted like I knew what I was doing, like we all, you know, before we find out, like, oh, that's how you do it. So I was just creating these really bad pages of artwork thinking this is how you do it. Like, drawing pages, I thought you were supposed to shade your pencil in when you draw, but it's all linear. There's no shading in it, unless that's a technique. But I was bad at it.
Well, what do you mean by shading? Because there's varieties of ways to shade
So, like,
with pencil.
I didn't know about the inking part of, like, comic books, so I thought the ink part was the dark shade of a pencil. So when you shade in something really
Oh, like you
dark,
just pressed
that's
a lot
what that
harder.
ink part looks like.
Gotcha. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you were pretty young, right? So it's okay. You learn.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
uh, what were some of the comics that you were into that got you just into being a fan of comics?
So Spider-Man was definitely the typical character that brought me into reading comics. I was reading a lot of mainstream, like no joke, Pete. Like I can tell you exactly what any part of Peter Parker's life. I've read every Spider-Man issue, like from then to now, all the filler, all that. Like that's just like how deep I was in comics reading it. When it came to creating my own kind of stuff, like the independent realm. I really enjoyed Zen Intergalactic Ninja. I broke into Cyberfrog because I found that stuff in the dollar bin section at one point. Um, I also I really liked the indie guys like Matt Emmons with the Gardener and Council of Frogs and Al Gofa with Dark Angels of Darkness and those kind of people. So and Scud. So like a lot of these guys with the indie stuff, like that's what really pulled me in wanting to do independent stuff more than the mainstream comics. And I took it seriously when I got out of the Kubert school.
Oh, okay. So you went to the Kubert School as well. We just had Andy Smith on yesterday talking about that.
Yeah, I'm definitely a QB, so I love it. It's a love hate relationship because no place is perfect. But man, if I had to repeat my 3 years like of my life anywhere, it would definitely be at that place.
What would you do different?
Nothing. I would do it all
Oh,
exactly
you
the
just
same
want to
way I
relive
did
it. Okay.
it.
I
Yeah.
thought you meant like
Oh
you would
yeah, just
repeat it and you would do something different.
oh no, just the whole aspect of the lifestyle, the craziness of that was going on in the dorms and the just the insanity that was going on inside the school. I really loved being there. That was probably honestly like outside of my daughter being born, like that was the 3 best years of my life.
Wow. That's incredible. Anything that really stands out to you about that? Any particular memories
Um
in your time there?
Adam Kubert drawing my OC character Sonderon and giving me the drawing was definitely a moment that stuck out to me. Um, and then fleshing out Sonderon, just my story in general. I took those 3 years. I was one out of like another person. Like a school like if there was like 200 students that like went into that school for 3 years, I was probably like one out of like three people that was really fleshing out our original characters and our stories while going through those years. And um, those moments, like creating that process, that stuck out a lot to me as well. And just being taught by Jan Dursema and Tom Mandrake and a lot of those guys, man, you can't get enough of that.
So when you went there, I'm guessing you also learned about writing and things like that as well, not just about art and putting together a comic through that, but also how to write a comic and put it together.
Writing you don't get into writing until your third year, which I disagree with. I think writing should be a key element that should be taught to a first year student as well.
Mm.
But no, it was all art all the way up until third year, where you're still doing art, but now you're introduced to writing. But for me, I was writing very poorly, like before I went to the school. I was just really grinding away at like perfecting that story and over like I have a whole binder of like, you know, packets and packets of stuff that I kept revising. And then third year came along, they're like, this is how you can condense it. And like, you know, here's the hero's journey, here's this. And so I mean, I even bought my Hero's Journey by Joseph Campbell novel because I wanted to understand that a little bit more.
Yeah. As far as your original character goes, Sandaran, you have that book Voyage. When did you come up with that concept and that character?
Um, I had that when I was in middle school. Like,
Oh, okay.
it was green. It was I had this habit of doing this thing, and I think we all do. Like where we see a superhero movie or something. If we're creating our very first character or OC, it's got to be a derivative off of a movie that or a book that exists. So like my first OC was Spider Kid, which was like an amalgam of 3 Spider-Man costumes, right? And I was like, "Ooh, Spider Kid, how original!" And that was around the same time Green Lantern came out, so I created my own Blue Lantern, and that's when I was like, you know what, I want to work with this a little bit. So I tweaked it and started changing it up, and then through the years it became its own thing. And then it wasn't until I went to the Cuba school is when I fleshed him out big time. Like his name changed, costume design changed, the background, so many of those elements is just doesn't even compare to everything before I went. So yeah, I've
What was the
had that.
inspiration for
I
the
would
name?
say 5th grade, 6th grade.
Wow. What was the inspiration for the name of the character?
Oh, all right. There was this kid. When I was a first year student, there was a kid in my class. Like, for some reason, he always had an out for me. He was just a jerk. Like, he was always on my case because I don't know. I guess I was a hard worker. I was pulling all nighters left and right, and I was just I was in it to win it basically. And I was the only kid in the class that had an OC that was really fleshing it out. And me and him just we didn't like each other, so I had to put up with him and just bite my tongue in cases. So the character's original name was called Khonshu, and what he would do is he would be like, "Oh, Khonshu already exists. Ooh, Moon Knight. Moon Knight's character's god is Khonshu. Like, that's not original at all." So it kept over time. It was just annoying me. So between first year and second year, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna change his name and I'm gonna come up with something original. So I started researching what my character's background, what his personality's about, and I did a whole deep dive in words, and I found a word called Sonder, which by definition it basically means if you're in a coffee shop and you look outside the window and you look at a bunch of people walking across the street and you think to yourself, you're like, damn, I wonder what their life is like, like what they're dealing with. And that's what that word means. So I was like Sondirian, Sonderan, Sonderon, and then I took a week to pronounce it, and then it stuck after that.
That's interesting. So almost like ponder, but sonder. Like that would be the word.
Huh?
There is a
Oh, I'm
little
sorry. I
lag
think
right
you cut
now.
out for a second.
Yeah, there's a bit of a lag.
I'm sorry.
I was saying that the word in terms of what it would sound like is like ponder, like how you're thinking, and it's sonder.
Yeah, but yeah, it's weird. Like, because I like looking up. Like, I'm a huge sci-fi nerd. I like conspiracies. I like cryptids. I like all that kind of stuff. And I found Sonder, and it just stuck out to me. So I was like, you know what? I'll play with that a little bit.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's
And
and it's not. I'm
Sonderon,
not
like,
saying that it's not a fake
just
word.
him
It's
as
a
a
real word. But I'm
character.
just.
He's a traveler. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I didn't think it was a real word until I found it. I was like, that just seems so weird.
Yeah, it almost seems like a concept that's kind of on par with empathy. Man, this
Man,
lag
this
is
lag.
bad. Yeah, the lag is really bad. It's
Yeah.
about a 5 to 10 second
Is
lag.
is it on my end or your end?
Oh no, I think it's definitely on your end, unfortunately, because even the image too is coming through a little bit laggy.
Man, I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
it's all right. It's all right. We'll try to deal with it as best as we can. I'll just make sure that we get
Yeah.
room to not talk over each other.
Okay.
All right. So as far as Alex, yeah, Sonderon, he's gonna ponder on his travels as he unravels. There you go. But so when you're going into the creative mindset here of you're putting together your character, your world, you're making your book. There's all kinds of different things that have to have influenced your storytelling and informed that outside of even comics. What are some of those things?
That pretty much influenced like the way I create. Or
Yeah,
um, Enemy Mine was a movie that stuck out to me back in the day, and I'd say that was an inspiration with the way that they went and made that movie. Yeah, just the storytelling was really beautiful, and it's probably still to one of the to this day, it's one of my favorite movies in general, just because of the message it brings. And um, man, I mean, Amazing Spider-Man from Steve Ditko, like a lot of the early Silver Age stuff, or a lot of those comic books back in the day, those storytelling themes that they would touch upon were not only heartfelt or challenging and heroic, but you know, it really set a tone to the way I kind of want to do certain things. And yeah, I guess those were some of the things that left an impression for me to have to integrate into my stuff.
well, Voyage is a sci-fi book, right?
Oh yeah.
Uh, is there any sci-fi or any even just aspects of science in and of itself that have influenced this story?
I'm forgetting the I don't use actual science. Like, I mean, I will when there is certain moments where I'm trying to like figure out a weird way to explain something, but I want to be accurate about it. But for the most of the time, I like to just make up the science. I know there's a word for it, and it's escaping me right now, pseudoscience or whatever. But um, yeah, I just like make up a lot of that stuff as I go along. Um, but
So it's closer
I
to like space fantasy, like Star Wars, as
yeah,
opposed to sci-fi, like Star Trek, like that kind of a thing.
yeah, it's more on that Star Wars type of explanations for certain things than it would be for like you said.
And what about your story here that you want people to know about in terms of the plot, the character, that kind of a thing?
So Voyage focuses on Sonderon, who is an exiled extraterrestrial from his star system. He is the first of his own species to go out in the real world, aka the universe, and he's on a quest to find this ancient artifact called the Spear of Nod, and it's shattered into tiny pieces and spread out throughout the whole universe. And he's forced upon this journey. He doesn't even want to do it. He doesn't even know the lore behind how important this artifact or artifacts really are. And it's supposed to, once combined, it's supposed to reset, back this dystopian fractured society back in its peaceful state. So issue one focuses on him arriving to the first planet outside of his star system, and he's just kind of want to do him. He just wants to do himself, and just doesn't want to worry about the responsibility or anything like that. And then there's like a double cross going on between these two characters, and he intervenes on it, and it puts all eyes on him with the intergalactic space force, the police in that area, and some of those conquerors and emissaries and other cults like now are aware of his presence, his kind, and they want him. So I take my time because the book is 48 pages. and the first story is 32 pages. So I'm taking my time to really show people who this character is, and just kind of like go with the flow. And then halfway through it, boom, then it hits you. Like now the action starts, and you start to question like what is some of these things that's going to happen, or what's it all about. And I don't answer everything in the beginning. I like to leave a lot of that cliffhanger kind of stuff. um but I even give a bonus story in the back of it where this is Sonderon just being super cool, doing exactly, what you guys love for him to do.
Well, that's a good thing though, because every time you do answer something, that answer should kind of spawn one or two more questions. You know,
Oh yeah.
like chopping
Like,
off the Hydra head.
oh yeah, like for me personally, like the spear and nod, like the biggest importance of why the story is the way it is. I don't really want people to know exactly what it is yet. That's like many issues later. I like them. It's kind of like when you watch Jackie Chan, right? When he's going after those amulets, or I forget what you call them in that cartoon. You know,
Oh, okay.
yeah, like he like as a kid I remember watching that. You're like, oh, like I want to see him like grab all of them, and it never got to that point where he was like in every episode he's getting the next one. He's they kind of stretched that out over time, and it made me want to watch it more and more. So that's how I like to pace it a little bit for that.
Interesting. So, in terms of the subject matter of this story, where you've got a lot of different aliens involved, and it's taking place in space. There's a space fantasy element to it. There's some sci-fi as well. Are you into that kind of stuff? Are you into aliens and whatnot on that level? Are you researched into any of it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I deep dive all that stuff. Like I remember watching it wasn't recent, it was a while ago. It was when it hit Netflix, the Bob Lazar documentary, where this dude was the one who really put Area 51 on the map, and he's just explaining how UFOs fly, like they don't do this, they do this. And I was like, what? And he's explaining it. I like all that stuff, like crop circles, cryptid, like I like deep diving, all that stuff, just because like the more I know, the better. But I'm just like naturally fascinated by the weirdness of it. How anytime there's a nuclear bomb going off, there's a UFO nearby, like knocking some of them out of the sky, or just kind of there to watch it. And yeah, like I like that stuff. And one thing that always irritated me about sci-fi in comics and TV and whatnot is the human element. How many times am I going to see a human in a Predator movie where they're the main character? Why can't I just watch the Predator as the main character hunting other species, in a different world? Why is it always got to be on Earth? It's Avatar, humans, Enemy Mine, as great as it was, humans. Resident Alien is on Earth. So I was like, you know what? For my comic book series, I really want to just have nothing but aliens and keep humans out of that, because there's enough of that. And yeah, that's my own personal take on it.
Yeah, because even in a lot of stuff, I mean, talking about Star Wars again, they're not Earthlings, but they're humanoid
Yeah,
beings. Yeah.
I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people. No, I know that's the biggest reason why people love Star Wars, is because of the unique variety of all these different species. It wasn't just like a couple of humans. Like it was no, you go to the Mos Eisley, you see all that stuff, and you like it. You're like, wow, you like the music, the theme, all of it. It's great, and it's timeless. You'll watch it so many times over, and then you ask yourself, like, why is it in 2012 when Avatar came out with the Na'vi people? Why was that movie so successful, and it remained as one of the biggest box office hits in the world for how many years before Avengers knocked it out of the sky? And I think it's because of that sci-fi element where it really focused on the Na'vi, and it wasn't really so much on the human aspect. It was these people.
Yeah, if anything, I would have rather preferred it to also just be on an alien world and not have that human. I mean, I guess that's the whole entire point of the thing. But I didn't really dig Avatar. Did you like Avatar?
I
Like as
love
a story?
Avatar. I love not the story. I love Avatar because of like the world that they brought in, like the culture and all that stuff that they were fleshing out. To be honest, I can't stand Jake Sully. Yeah, like honestly, I think the movie would have done so fine with Neytiri as herself, fighting another species of like invaders or whatever. Like, I think that would have done so much better. But that's just my own personal opinion.
Yeah, I would have liked more practical effects and people in makeup and costume too.
Yeah, no, there's honestly, I can't. I mean, I like you're probably way older than me, but I guess I'm
What's
28,
that
and I
supposed to
guess
be?
well, I'm saying that like you guys, like from your time, you guys had nothing but practical effects, and CGI was just very little. And to me, like being the age that I'm at, I'm just so used to the CGI overflow and everything that I guess it kind of doesn't bother me as much as it does, like you. But I think what I'm tired about is the superhero fatigue, like the MCU, all that kind of stuff. It's the same cookie cutter kind of storytelling, and yeah, I really like to see some of the indie stuff really pop off. And I think it. I think when COVID hit, I think that was the start of a lot of these independent people really getting their moment to kind of like get their time to shine and really like flesh their stuff out and throw it out there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm only about 10 years older than you. So, I don't
Okay.
know how old you think I am, but I'm not even half a generation older than you. And if
Oh
you're
no.
if you're 28 around 30, let's say that's you grew up in a time period as well where there was a mix of practical effect and CGI. But largely, what would have come before that you would have seen would have definitely been way more practical effect. I mean, can you remember when you first saw Star Wars? Was it the originals or was it the special edition?
Oh, the originals. I remember my first one was Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great. Like Muppet
I
Yoda looks way
I can't
better
even. He does, but
than
I can't even
little
get that
CGI
conversation.
Yoda.
I can't even handle it with people. They're like, "Oh, if you're gonna watch Star Wars, like show your kids Star Wars, you got to start from 1, 2, 3 in order." I'd be like, "No, no, no. It's 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Forget 7, 8, 9."
Yeah, I would say just forget them all. Just do 4, 5, 6.
Yeah. I mean, dude, 7, 8, 9 is so bad that it put 1, 2, 3 back on the map where people were like, "Yeah, you know what? These are acceptable now." That's how
Yeah.
bad those movies did.
Well, the thing too, the prequels, I thought, what a weird place to start them at. And people that complain right now about the way that Disney's handling it, I'm like, well, George Lucas set the path for that. He set a precedent when he tinkered endlessly with his near perfect original trilogy. I get updating effects and things like that. I got no problem with that if he wanted to do that. There was some wonky kind of effects, that first lightsaber fight when at a certain angle the lightsaber disappears because they didn't have the proper effect at the time. So I get wanting to bolster up those effects, but when he wanted to kind of start adding in scenes and really sloppy CGI and just throw in a couple of things here and there and
Yeah.
then start editing people out of it and then further edit people out of it and make Han shoot second and all this other like garbage. It was like, well, as soon as something comes along when he no longer has control whether he passes or sells it, people are going to do whatever they want to do with it. And maybe not just the originals, but maybe what they do past that, which is, I think, is exactly what we're seeing. But he really, really set a bad precedent, I thought, with the prequels, because he should have just started the prequels with both Obi-Wan and Anakin are Jedi partners. and that's it. They're adults. None of this weird like little kid Anakin stuff with like then Padme and him are gonna. It's like that was like a little kid, so that gets kind of weird. None of that whole like oh he's too old to train and the kid's like 9. If he's too old to train, Luke is beyond ancient by the time he's getting trained, and not to mention the fact that Obi-Wan looks like he's 20 years old and he's still a Padawan in the first episode. So he must be a really stupid Jedi to be trained since he was like 5, let's say.
Wow. I wasn't even deep diving like that, like first episode, but now that you explain it, like, yeah, I don't know, you got a solid point with that one.
There's just
I can't argue it.
Yeah, and then Jar Jar Binks, you cut Darth Maul in half, and I'm thinking like Clone Wars, we come back, we're gonna see a cloned Darth Maul, and no, we don't. We don't see that because Lucas is like, I didn't think people would like him as much as they ended up liking him. Like, what's wrong with you? He's got a double-bladed lightsaber, and the dude looks sick. Like he looks demonic. He's taken on 2 Jedis, kills one of them, but then gets played out because he should have force pushed Obi-Wan down that chasm, right? He just kind of taunts him. Why?
Oh yeah.
He was just boom, you're done, and walked away. He did instead like Obi-Wan like force jumps from his fingertips, goes above Darth Maul's head. Darth Maul doesn't do anything, then turns around and then gets cut in half after just taking on the 2 of these dudes. So there's so much, but instead if they had done it where they were adults and Obi-Wan and Anakin already had this kind of brotherly relationship where there was a respect but they don't see eye to eye, then you can have that the first movie play out basically sort of the way the third movie was. And then have the second movie play out where that's the turning of Anakin. And then the third movie would be full-on Vader and everybody else wiping out the Jedi in that third movie, like the hunt for the Jedi.
Oh,
but
man,
you'd never really...
Rough. That'd be a rough film to watch.
But very needed because you don't see even the planets, right? Think about all the planets that are there and everyone that's on them. You go from like Anakin's mom, you don't get a hint that there's slavery on Tatooine by the time we meet Luke, right? But there's slavery in abundance when Anakin's a kid, when it's allegedly being run by the Republic. But now the Empire runs it, and there's no hint at slavery. It's like, okay, so the Empire abolished slavery. That's interesting. Like things don't look progressively much worse from episode 1 to episode 4. You really have to establish these situations in a much better way. And I mean, I have so many problems with the prequels. And I don't know if anyone here likes the prequels a lot or not, but I loved the first one when I was a kid because I thought it had so much promise, even though I was still like, what is this? Some of this stuff I'm like, I don't know. But then by the time they all played out, I'm just, nope. They don't exist in my world. Did we lose Zach, or is he in deep thought? I can't tell. We might have lost Zach. I think we lost him. Let's see. Bobo says, Pete remembers the galaxy long, long ago. Right. Alex says, we can remake episodes 1 to 3 and condense it down to 2 films, and it might be decent. Yeah, and then that third one, really harp on the Darth Vader running loose, killing down all the Jedis. Not just like 5-10 minutes in a movie, most of it happening off screen. I want to see a whole movie of making me feel like, oh crap, these guys are bad. All right, we got Zach back.
There we go. This should be a lot better now.
All right.
My God, my Wi-Fi, bro. I'm sorry. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use my phone from here on out.
So you're on your phone right now?
Yeah, I got perfect.
It's coming through great.
Yeah, I hope it's much better now. So
yeah, you look good. You sound good, which is what matters.
Yes, I mean, yeah. Yeah, but no, I heard everything you were saying about like the Star, and it actually blows my mind because I was like, no, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, dude, I'd be shedding a tear if I was watching that third film if it was playing out the way like you're saying. If it did, like, oh man.
And have Qui-Gon there, all three films, imagine that, and then he gets taken out in the
Oh,
third film. And Vader, Anakin, should have fought and killed Darth Maul. That should have been the fight to take the apprenticeship and be the next Sith in command underneath Palpatine.
let me ask you something. How much time did you spend thinking on that? Like,
Not a whole lot. Just like literally, I'll just go in there and be like, well, if I told this story knowing what I know about what they incorporated in the story and then the story that comes after, you have to really play up the emotional aspects. You have to go full tilt in that third episode to make people go, wow, this is why they're bad. Not just there was too much telling, not enough showing. You know what I mean? There was like,
yeah.
they're bad because we said so. And it's like, yeah, they're bad on a personal, like interpersonal level, where they're warring with the Jedi and you're supposed to like the Jedi because the Jedi are good. But for the most part, you don't really get the sense that the Empire are hell-bent on galactic destruction up until they explode Alderaan. And even then, you don't get an emotional connection with Alderaan. As crazy as this might be to say, it's the same thing it feels like when Galactus is going to go eat a world that no one cares about. You're like, oh, that sucks for that world. But, hey, dude's got to eat. So when they blow up Alderaan, it sucks for Princess Leia. And if you care about her, you care about what she's going through. But you don't really get too much of a connection because you're just sitting there going like, wow, they must be horrible. Because this is what they do constantly and no one stops them. So, okay, well then knowing that has to really be established in episode 2 or 3 as that transition takes place, and then full tilt in 3 that these guys are horrible. And that's why we should be fighting against them. And they really could have done that, but
I would absolutely watch that in theaters. Like, no, if that's the way it played out, absolutely.
oh yeah, that would have been. I mean, just imagine instead of like the weird kind of rushed thing, you could have really had that whole third movie about they're fighting like crazy and they're getting overwhelmed and they have to almost evade and go underground, and then that whole movie takes off and you understand the progression of it. Even the fact too that Leia says in Jedi how she remembers her mother, but meanwhile her mother died in childbirth. It's like, did you guys watch the movies you made?
Oh wow! No way! Yo, I gotta watch that again just so I can see that.
Yeah, because Luke goes, I never remembered my mother, and Leia did. So you get the hint that their mother didn't die necessarily, but Luke was spirited away, and that maybe the mother at some point in time died because she talks about how she was kind but sad. So it's one of those things where, okay, but she died in childbirth, so who the hell do you remember?
Damn.
I don't know.
So I mean, like, that's why I say watch 4, 5, and 6.
Totally.
And you have to continue 1, 2, and 3 after, and then stop there.
Yeah, I agree. But that's great. That's the fun part of when you're making your own stories. You get to learn a lot from what came before and hopefully not repeat any of the mistakes they made. And that's what's fun about seeing you do a story like what you're doing with Voyage, where you get a chance to kind of say, all right, we're not going to tell this galactic story as if human beings are involved. We're going to use the vast amount of species that are out there and tell that story in that fashion. That's got to be fun.
Oh, actually, another huge inspiration for it is Mass Effect. I say Mass Effect as a trilogy is just a phenomenal run, and I love the integration of species, the whole story about the Reapers and Sovereign and all that stuff, and it like I didn't play Mass Effect until like the beginning of this year, believe it or not, and when I played it, I was like, "Wow, this is beautiful. This is like." Really, really good. And I started writing notes down because it was giving me ideas for my own stuff. And stuff like that. I was like, man, this is a whole boat of opportunity where you get something like that and not, like your hero's journey. Because like when I think of like the hero's journey, Luke Skywalker is that perfect defining example of, your ups and downs of how it goes step by step. But then you see
Oh
something
yeah,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like when you see something like Mass Effect, or you got Commander Shepard, and just everything, everything's just that he's dealing with, that he's got to, overcome and whatnot. Like it takes the hero's journey, just amplifies it by 1,000. I love it.
yeah. That's good stuff. I'm gonna put the link in here to invite you guys if you guys want to join the show. If you want to have a question or a comment here for Zach tonight, please feel free to join. There's a link. And if not, it's okay too, but don't be shy. If you want to come on the show, you got a question or a comment for the guest, feel free. So with what you're doing with your book, do you have a series planned for this? Is this to continue, or is this a one-shot type of thing?
Oh, I already have 4 arcs already planned. Now the first arc focuses on, it's kind of like introducing Sonderon, like here he is, but it brings in a character, Talia, which is his female friend of his that he like comes across, um, and you get the introduction of the first emissary, the first baddie. So they all tie in together. It's like hello world, I'm Sonderon. He's in this double cross situation that he's got to like beat, and the whole universe is now aware of his existence. And there's this big blowout scene at the end of issue 5 and 6, and then arc 2 focuses on I call it the Cosmic Causeway, where he it's like a highway of like the boardwalk during the Roaring Twenties, where like the mob would go ahead and control. I took inspiration of like making a highway and called it the Cosmic Causeway, and it's about like it's kind of like that where light speed, um, they're dealing with light speed technology, and that's how they're making their money. So Sonderon meets the mob basically in arc 2, because he intervenes on that stuff. Comes across them, and it just goes on and on. And like I already got like a lot of stuff written now for like at least 4 arcs minimum so far. I want to keep going with it, but the thing that sucks is crowdfunding for me. This is my third time launching this campaign. Um,
When were the
and
previous two? When did you launch those?
I launched Voyage Melting Pot. I launched that last year, January. I launched the second time I launched issue 1 like in May of this year. On both on Kickstarter.
Okay.
And it takes a lot of time, like I'm not complaining about like, going on shows or posting and whatnot, but it does take a lot because it's like, you got to do every job just to go ahead and try to get that book funded. And it's taken time away from my table from drawing, and I just want to finish up the first issue and just get it out to the people because I'm super passionate about the book. I know it's a good product. I've had so many people look at it. Vaughn, is editing it, and he had it, pass off to other people so they can get some input.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone that come across it, they love it. So if it funds, I'm gonna get right on it. Like just crank it out and just finish it up because it's looking really solid. But if it doesn't fund, I gotta take a step down from crowdfunding and just you know do it the old-fashioned way. Pay my own work, pay for it, and then yeah, it's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's easier. I mean, I'll just like get the stuff done.
Yeah, yeah. It does take a lot with the crowdfunding process because a lot of the stuff that has to be done beforehand, which would be the crowd building process, usually most people don't put time into that. And what I mean by that is it's a hype process, and not it doesn't have to be a disingenuous, and it should never be a disingenuous hype. But you have to let people be aware of it. You have to let people know what you're doing. You have to take even like a year at the very least to kind of get around and familiarize yourself with others and also have them be familiar with you, and then run into the crowdfunding scene, hopefully full tilt. But that's interesting. So you launched twice on Kickstarter, and this third one is on Indiegogo.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Maybe it could have been something with Kickstarter or something. I don't know. So let me try a different platform. And so I went to Indiegogo, and I put a fixed goal amount because I don't. I something about like the flexible thing where I get the money already in my account and I can just work with it along. It doesn't sit right with me. I'd rather just have it where it's all at once it funds, and then I can send it all out to where it needs to go. It's more of a trustworthy thing. I don't want people to feel like they can't trust me if it's flexible or something because they don't know me. But it's really sad too because like, dude, I spent like 3 years crowdfunding, and two of those campaigns have failed. So I figured that a lot of the shows that I've been on and a lot of stuff that I have posted, people have probably been aware of me so far. But it's crazy that I'm still struggling. Like last campaign, I got like 67 backers. Right now I'm at 48, or 42. The campaign previous to that, I was at like 89.
Are you
So,
previously published at all? Do you have a short story or another comic you could point to?
nah, I got Voyage the Call. When I first got out of the Cuber School, I launched my very first campaign on Kickstarter called Voyage the Call, and it was a one-shot comic where I was testing the water to see how my character would be in a solo issue and see how people enjoy it. And I raised the funds for it. Like, I got 157 backers out of it. So, yeah, I mean, the dip, the declining dip was crazy because I fulfilled all the rewards on that. I mean, all of the surveys came back and people loved it and they wanted to see him come back. So, it's strange. I mean, I guess I'm caught in this weird like twilight zone where I'm like, what's going on here? Because I'm doing everything. Everyone who's telling me ideas and stuff, I'm doing it right then and there, and it's just so weird. It's so weird.
Do you have your own YouTube channel or your own
I
website?
don't. I go on shows like I go on Hard Chargers, Fawn Coleman's show with a bunch of guys every Sunday. So that's a consistent stream that I'm part of the show, but I don't stream like my own show because I'm the type of person that likes to work well off of other people. I don't think that I have good enough material for myself as a personality to do it myself as the host of the show. I like to bounce off people like that as a guest.
Okay, okay. Do you have your own website?
I don't have my own. I was planning on making the website after I finished issue one.
Okay.
Go figure.
All right. So we're 0 for 2 right now with things that'll really help you out. Do you have a newsletter?
I have Mailchimp.
Okay.
I
So
got I
you
got
have a newsletter. Do you concentrate on building up that newsletter at all with anything and growing it? That's a
I
really
would like
important tool.
I would like to right after this campaign's over. I'll just collect all the backers and stuff and just keep them up to date with what I'm doing personally. With the issue just to get it out.
Okay. So the three things that I mentioned are going to really help you crowd build, which is then going to help you to crowd fund. I know you might feel like, and believe me, I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and I had it with myself like 5 years ago. You might feel like, I'm not really this kind of person, I'm not really that kind of person. It's not really about being a different kind of person or just a kind of person in general. It's just about utilizing another way to communicate what you're doing to people who may end up caring about it. I don't think anyone who really starts any of this kind of stuff anywhere is going into it thinking, well, I'm exactly the kind of person that should be doing this. I think especially when you start off with whatever, you're flying at the seat of your pants for quite some time and you're just winging it. And then if it takes off, you're like, wow, that took off. I didn't think that would happen. That's most people. I haven't met anyone yet who goes into it thinking I'm going to have 100% success doing this and that's how it's going to be and I'm primed for it. So I would recommend, start your own channel up. At least have everyone needs a home base of operations. Everybody needs a headquarters, something that you can call and go, check out over here. Everybody needs something like that. It helps out greatly. It also establishes you and makes you look like you're not just someone who's transient, like you're just fleeting, in and out, gone. And the other part with if you've been doing this now and this is your third time, I would say that what could happen is that some people might actually think that you're constantly, because they're not going to be keeping tabs, and they might think that you're constantly trying to still raise money for that same issue, even though you've already had completed campaigns for that issue. So it could actually kind of work against you unless you become more out there in terms of your communication, and people can go and see your website and go, oh, they haven't he hasn't funded this thing yet. So it's not just like he's trying to constantly raise money for the same issue over and over again.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to see you and everybody succeed, and I know it's tough.
Honestly, like I think after this, I'm just gonna like fund it myself, just work and pace it, because I want to move past this issue and work on the next book, and just get that next book once that's finished, and then I'll go ahead and I'll launch that. Like, try a different approach, but yeah, no, you are right. Like, I'm not arguing. Like, I do need a website. I had been planning on putting that together. I was planning it on having to set that up right after the first issue was going to get done. Funded and whatnot. But yeah, it's weird how this is turning around. So yeah, I guess it's back to the drawing board. Like,
yeah, and I mean, I get where you're coming from. When I started off, I funded and put out my first, I think, 5 issues of stuff I was working on, and I didn't do. I mean, I did everything on the first 2 issues that I worked on, and they were horrible. But I did everything on them, and I was like 21 at the time, and printed, I don't know, 200 or 300 copies, and maybe $500 was the total investment in terms of printing, and then sold them for like $3 a piece. And I sold them all, but it was one of those things where it taught me a lot of what I wanted to do about it, what I wanted to do in comics and not. And you're way more talented than I was at that point in time. So I really think you can do it. It's just right now, and Alex said it here too, it's a stupidly competitive market right now. So, if you're able to do that and kind of put that investment into yourself, even if you take some time to do it, you'd be surprised how much, as soon as you have anything, even if it's like an ash can, even if it's just like 10 to 15 pages of something, and you can just get that out there to people, whether it's digitally or physically, then you can actually start building upon it, because you're proving to people that, no, you're here, you want to make this is what you want to make, and you're capable of doing it. Because there's so many people right now that are rushing, and unfortunately, it brands a lot of people, like even yourself, who, you've been taking the time, you know what you're doing, you know what you want to do, but a lot of people are getting burned because there's a lot of people coming along that are rushing into it, and they're not doing their best effort, and it's hurting a lot of different people because it's putting a bad taste in some people's mouths.
I definitely I can attest to that. Yeah, absolutely.
But like the beginning of the show, it doesn't pay to start pointing fingers and saying that's the reason we're failing. So we have to find a way around that, and it takes time. But you gotta make sure you're doing some of the basic stuff to get out there. All right, we got a guest here in the green room. We're gonna bring him on. What's up, Ryan? You're on Comic Book Radio with Zach.
Hello, Pete. Thank you for having me on real quick. Long-time listener, second-time caller, I believe.
All right, yeah.
Zach, I just had a quick question. You brought up a good point before, and I'll take my answer off air. But what kind of a challenge has it been dealing with this generational gap between you and Pete for how old Pete is? And I just, like I said, I'll take my answer off air. Thank you very much for letting me get that in there. Good day to you. I said good day.
So just to understand it. So what's the generational gap between our years apart?
Yeah. I think it's like 0.3 or 0.4 of a generation. Something like that. A generation is like 20 to 25 years.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah,
I
it's not
mean,
so bad.
you definitely, being the age that you're at, you definitely got to grow up with like the '80s action films and a lot of that stuff, or maybe like, no, more so the '90s, I'd say.
Yeah, I
You're,
mean,
yeah,
I had a weird experience with pop culture because I had a lot of cousins that were older than me, and I hung around them a lot. So they probably had like maybe 7 to 9 years on me. So whatever they were into, I was getting into. So that was kind of more. Even though I grew up and I was born in '84. I was exposed to a lot of stuff that cousins that were older than me were really into that was popular when I was born. So I kind of was like, I don't know, 6 to 10 years in a different, always kind of out of sync a bit until probably 92. And then I started syncing up more with what was out at the time. But I mean, I think whatever is, when something's good, it's universal, it's timeless, right? It lasts. People are going to be talking about and watching that kind of stuff and listening to that kind of music or whatever it is for a very, very long time. And it's unfortunate. I don't think we see a lot of that timeless kind of stuff nowadays.
No, I think we're in a dead zone, honestly. I hate saying it, but I think we're in a creative dead zone when it comes to stuff that's like we're seeing out there on TV and just in toys. You can even see it in toys. It just looks so bland. And it's definitely lacking. Like, so yeah, that's why I'm pushing harder than I have been, because like I really want a spot there. And I was like reading up on your comic. I haven't gotten a copy yet, but I was reading up on some plot stuff that like was on the internet about it, like a review and stuff. I really like it, dude. Like King Cryptid and
Thank you, man.
the covers. I like the aliens, like the aliens on the cover. Like
Oh yeah,
that
we'll
was
have
my
that in
favorite.
issue 8.
Yeah, I was like, if I gotta buy a cover, I gotta get that one. But
Thank
yeah,
you, I
dude,
appreciate that.
I really want to go ahead and start reading that, but um, I gotta catch you. I gotta see you on the flip side, like maybe Granite State Comic Con or you're up in the New England area, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in New Hampshire.
Oh, Manchester or?
No, I'm probably about I'm near Exeter. So I'm probably
I
about
know
a
where.
half hour
Okay.
or so away.
Yeah. All right. Now I'm in Newport, so like I'm about to move down to Manchester, like pretty soon. So
Nice.
yeah, dude, I'd like to
They
catch
got
up
good
with you.
pizza in Manchester.
Actually, I'd say Jersey has the best pizza. Delicia is down in
Oh well, I
Dover.
mean, I grew up in New York. I'm talking about New Hampshire.
Oh.
New Hampshire's got good pizza, with Manchester and a couple other cities. But it's if we're gonna talk about pizza, there's Brooklyn, there's Jersey, yeah. But
Yes.
in terms of New Hampshire, yeah, Manchester's got a couple good places. Check out Alley Cat Pizzeria if you haven't checked them out. They're pretty good.
I've eaten there quite a few number of times. They got some good stuff. We
Yeah.
should, honestly, we should like, catch up sometime, just in person, like if you're ever down for it, because yeah, I would love to like, just kind of like catch up with you, or just go over, look at your like the King Cryptid stuff like more up close, and yeah, honestly, actually, what's funny? Now that I'm thinking about, I think I sent a pitch packet to you a couple years ago. It was I think I sent a Voyage pitch packet to Alterna.
You
No,
sent in a
no, no,
submission?
my bad. No, it was Scout Comics. My bad.
I can see where
But
you would make that mistake.
yeah, I was like, because I just got out of the Cuba school and Scout. Yeah, no, but yeah, I definitely want to like catch up. Damn, I
See,
I
Gerald
could have
says,
sworn.
Gerald says Pete is spot on. Building a character and their story and world is a journey, a marathon, not a race. Take your time creating and making your book. Yeah, there you go. It takes time, you know. And the thing is, sometimes too, you got to leave it and go back to it. I could never have created King Cryptid 10 years ago. You know, even if the idea was like a tiny seed in the back of my mind. I've always into paranormal stuff and things like that. I've always been into comics. But the storytelling scope of it, I wouldn't have been able to do it right. And then the business-wise, the nitty-gritty, realistic side of it, there's no way that I would have felt comfortable making an ongoing series within the traditional distribution system. It needed to happen at a specific point in time. It needed to happen when crowdfunding was a thing and I had time to not be in that distribution system. Because Alterna, we were doing that for 12 or so years. Now we haven't been doing distribution stuff since 2020. We've been just distributing on our own. So it's like all of that, I needed that. You know, so sometimes...
What's the wait time per book then? So, like, if I was picked up, like, issue 1 of something from Alterna, what's, like, the typical wait time for, like, that next issue?
Well, it really depends what series you're talking about, because it's all about whatever the creators are working on. Like, all the books here are on, for the most part, like, issue 7 or 8, things like that. King Cryptid, I'm doing 4 to 5 issues a year. And then... so you get 4 to 5 issues at a time. You know, I think Horace H. Hoover is the only one we got on issue 2, and then he's going to do 3 to 5 on a campaign in February. So usually the creators are doing about 4 issues a year for the most part. Some of them a little more, some of them a little less. But back when we were doing distribution, it was relatively the same too, because we were just doing miniseries for the most part. Because it's next to impossible to have an indie ongoing series. The way that they place orders, and it's just not, it doesn't work out. They hedge their bets big time, so, you know, you get number 1, and then they order 60% less for number 2, 30% less of that for number 3. By the time you get to 4 or 5, you're looking at it and going, wow, that's like a 5th or a 6th of the orders we got for the first issue. If we go to issue 6 or 7, that thing's getting canceled. And even by that point in time, probably should have been canceled by issue 3. You know, because it should have deserved like a mercy killing at that point. But no one's making any money by an issue 3. I'd say about 90% of independents, no one's making any money by issue 3. Everything at that point is a labor of love and a little bit of insanity.
So my question is, because I have thought about it, was like bringing Voyage over onto Alterna. Because I've heard that you guys are very respectful when it comes to, you know, creators maintaining their creative rights over the property, and then just even in terms of the way the production part of it is, like, you know, the team will get it done, they'll send it on over, and then, you know, just the way it gets distributed out. I've heard some, you know, positive stuff about it, so that made me really kind of want to, like, turn my attention over to Alterna, because I trust me when I say I really don't want to do the crowdfunding thing every single time I'm trying to do an issue or whatever.
But that's what we do.
Yeah, I'd rather
doing
approach somebody. Yeah, like somebody that's willing to, you know, work with me on it and whatnot. So
well, our submissions are closed. I'm not looking for more submissions.
okay.
The other part is Zach, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me on the show live. Don't do that. No. Don't do that to me. It's not going to be. It's not going to end up being good for either of us, my friend.
Okay.
Yeah, and don't ever tell a prospective publisher that you want to do business with that you don't want to work, which is essentially what you just said. Don't do that, because when I'm hearing I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, and it involves selling your book in the best possible way available at this point in time, I'm like, oh, well, we have nothing left to talk about then. Because how else do we sell the book? We're not going to go through distribution, because that's a bad way to do it. And then if we're going to go to crowdfunding, that means I'm going to be pushing your crowdfund and creating that crowdfund for you and marketing it for you. And you own 100% of your rights. So which means I'm basically doing practically slave labor to get your book out there and build your brand and build your name and your book. It's like, I want to work with people, and this is why I don't take submissions anymore. I want to work with people who are self-starters. I want to work with people who are entrepreneurial. I want to work with people that are like, I want to sell in as many places as possible. What the hell do you mean we're not going to go through distribution? And then I explain why, and they're like, oh, okay, I get it. But every aspect of it that you can have access to and you want to sell your book and get out there, that's the type of person I want to work with. But I'm finding there's a lot of people that don't want to do that anymore. So that's why I don't want to be mean publisher guy. I'm tired of that. I'm done with that. I want to focus on being creative, which is honestly what I encourage you to do. I encourage you to focus on being as creative as you can, not just with your story, but in terms of how you get out there with it. That's why don't sit there and think like I'll be a guest on someone else's show. I don't want to open up my own channel. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have that ready yet. Go for all of it. People will respond accordingly because they'll notice you're hustling. They'll notice that you're getting out there, and that it means the world to you. And they're like, that's a guy I want to support.
Let me ask you that. Doing all that, how do you sleep at night, or do you even sleep at all? Like doing it everything.
Man, I got a weird sleep schedule. I've talked about it before. There's many reasons for why I've got a weird sleep schedule. But my sleep schedule, without the reasons behind it, usually work till like 1, maybe 2, and then kind of pass out for like a half hour, wake up, take a shower, pass out again on the couch, and me and my wife do the same thing, and then go to bed at like 5 in the morning, wake up at like 8:30. So I got a really weird sleep, and I've been doing this for, I don't even know, 6 years, something like that. So
oh man, I remember being at the school. I'd be working so much so to the point where like when I was going to bed, I was so tired of getting off my chair. I just like slept underneath my drafting table because I was like, I couldn't move. I was like, nah, I can't. I've had plenty of moments like that.
Yeah. And if there's days when I'm like extra tired, I'll take a quick nap, half hour or something like that, and then that's it.
Yeah,
But yeah.
You ever pass out on the glass of your table, or like I don't know if you have a glass drafting table or a wooden one, but you ever get like have your face planted on the side of it?
Not really, because I do a lot of my creative stuff during the day. I don't do creative stuff at night when I know I'm gonna pass out. So I'd rather like just start right in the morning and do all the creative stuff that I gotta do in the daytime when I'm sharp. And then do whatever else in terms of like if I'm packing up orders, if I'm doing shows or whatever it is, if I'm prepping for newsletters or something like that, then I'll do that at night. But other than that, yeah, it's I haven't had the privilege of passing out at my drawing table. But one day maybe, you never know. But that's the thing, man. It's a difficult and long journey, and you got to find different ways to make it work. And sometimes my best advice for a lot of people, especially someone in your situation, is you want to get a resume together of work for people so they can see what you're capable of and what you've been doing. Because the biggest thing that backers fear when it comes to someone who they're not familiar with their work is this person going to flake out? Is this person even going to do the thing they said they're going to do?
Right.
So it's that level of trust. It's not even, am I going to like what they're going to do? That's not even it. What is it is them going, are they going to actually get that done? Or are they going to, and I've dealt with it. I've dealt with people who I sign them on, and then into issue 2, they can't do it. They're done. Or they thought issue 1, all the money would come in. I made the thing. Where is everybody? And I was like, well, did you tell anyone? And they like, tell anyone. I'm like, why'd you put all this time and money into making your comic? You didn't tell anyone about it. So it's all these different things where there's a lot involved, where certain things you have to take it slower and go, maybe I'll do a short story. Maybe I work with someone, we get it together, and we get it out. And people can see what I'm doing and familiarize yourself with my work. and then it's easier to point to it, and then you have also a built-in perk for your
I've
campaign.
what is it? As we were talking and stuff throughout the whole thing, I was like writing notes down and whatnot because you make a lot of good points, and
Well, I'm old as dirt, so you know, I mean, I got a lot of experience. But I think you got a lot of potential, brother. Just keep working. You got a good work ethic, you know, and you just have to make sure you're working in the areas in which you're finding you're struggling in. And just me listing off a couple of things tonight with the YouTube channel, the website, you know, because the website and the YouTube will help you grow that newsletter too. And that newsletter is a very important thing, to let people be updated on what you're doing, and to just have everything funnel back to a headquarters, to Zach headquarters.
Okay.
You know, that's something that I don't just recommend for you. I recommend it for every creator out there. Even if all your website does, to be honest, it just forwards to your company page that's on social media or on Instagram or whatever for now, until you build an official site. You know, so even if when Alterna started, it just directed people to a MySpace page. That's how long ago that was.
Oh my God, MySpace.
You know, yeah. And I did that because I didn't know if I would be into doing this publishing stuff past the first 2 or 3 years. I thought like I would do this, learn as much as I could, and then go somewhere else, and then I'll work on that, and I'll do whatever. And then I eventually find, you know, I want to keep doing this. I want to stay indie. I want to stay creator owned. And I want to stay doing my own thing. And then I put a lot more serious effort into it at that point. But it's just about staying consistent, keep working hard at it, and be ready for the 10-year overnight success. It's going to take time, and it's going to take effort, but you got to do it.
That.
No problem. I mean, think about it like Three Little Pigs, right? You want to build that house of brick. Everybody else could be out there building that house of stick and straw, and it looks like they're having a great time. But that wolf comes along one day, they're all going to be running at you with your brick house. So think about it that way. Keep it up.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody, we're going to be ending the show right here. Thank you guys for being here tonight. It's been a great conversation with Zach, and the strange voyage of an indie comics creator. It's strange for all of us. And I'm not speaking from expertise. I always say this. I'm speaking from experience. I'm not an expert of anything other than my own life and my own successes and failures, and that's all I'm saying. And I hope that if some of it speaks to you, great. If it doesn't, that's cool too. We all have our own path. Zach, before we go, where can they find you, and where do you want to direct them to?
You guys can all find me on Instagram and Twitter as Zackary's Art, ZACKARYSART, lowercase. And you can find, you know, the current campaign, Voyage, on Indiegogo. And if you guys are ever interested in hitting me up just to have a conversation or whatever, I always love talking to random people. That's just who I am. You know, always hit me a DM on Twitter or Instagram. It don't matter. That's where you can find me.
Very nice. All right, and go check out Voyage. It is on Indiegogo. You got, are you going into a second 30 days? What's the story with that?
I'm probably going to end it after the 7 days that it has left. I'm just going to...
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's got 7 days left, and how far are you away from the campaign there?
$3,202 left.
All right. Let's, I'm going to show this for a quick second before we go. Let's bring this up so you guys can get a hint as to what we're talking about tonight. So there you see it. There's Voyage Issue 1, A Cosmic Adventure. It is currently at $2,038 with 7 days left and 48 backers on board. The link is in the description of the show, and I'm going to put the link in the chat too. If this looks good to you, check it out. Spread the word, all that good stuff. And go on and find Zach. Make sure to let him know your thoughts on this book and whatever else. All right. So we're going to wrap it up here. Everybody, thank you guys for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. Zach, thank you for being here as well, man.
Thank you for having me on. I know you're so busy, and I appreciate you just giving the time to have me come. And I apologize about the lag earlier today. I'm glad that the rest of the show just went without a hitch with no problem.
Yeah, yeah, it went fine. The lag was a little bit. We worked it out. It's all good.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody, see you guys tomorrow night. I'll be back at 9 o'clock Eastern with Piper. You guys might know her. She's edited a bunch of different books. She's out and about. Other than that, I will see you guys then. Until then, of course, have a great night and an even better tomorrow. See you guys soon.
Have a good one, guys.